Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Welcome to the NYC DOT Art Partners webinar, March 12th, 2025. I'm Angelique Viscondro-Leboy, Director of NYC DOT Art, pronouns she, her. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of our program and then hand it over to Leah, who will talk specifically about NYC DOT Art Partners. We can keep going here. So NYC DOT Art started in 2008. So while our team is relatively new, we've been around between a year and 2 years. NYC DOT Art has been doing a lot on all 5 boroughs since 2008. Since then, we've been able to install over 475 different public art installations throughout all 5 boroughs. And it looks like many different kinds of things. We do temporary art, which means that it's up to 11 months, but Leah will give you more details as to how we define temporary art. And we partner with a lot of different organizations to make these projects happen. Leah will also talk more about that. We can go to the next page. So part of what we are trying to do in our program is to activate corridors, is to activate public space, and to create a more engaging urban landscape. Thanks. Through public art. We are also wanting to establish meaningful connections with community stakeholders. And we are also trying to support, right? We're trying to support communities in their plans to uplift their communities, to create better public space for their communities, but we also provide funding for artists, not all local, but just artists directly. And then finally, next, is to collaborate. So we are always looking to collaborate with artists, with local organizations, with business improvement district, with all kinds of folks around the city and outside the city to bring more public art to DOT property. Last year alone, we were able to install 41 temporary art installations. On the map, you can see all the spaces where those went. We work with 19 partner organizations, and we did over 72,000 square feet of asphalt art murals. Asphalt art murals is what I call the bread and butter of NYC DOT art. It's a very special thing we get to do because DOT manages NYC streets. And so we get to put these murals on pedestrianized spaces. Leah will talk more details about asphalt art as well in this presentation. And I think, is that maybe it for me? Yep. I'm going to hand it over now to Leah, who's going to talk about NYC DOT Art Partners.
Thank you, Angelique. My name is Leah. I am a project manager for the art team, and I'm going to walk you all through the specific application process for the Art Partners Initiative, which has formerly been known as Arterventions, but it's a similar self-funded proposal process where community-based organizations can exhibit temporary artwork on our property in collaboration with professional artists. The applicants are responsible for funding these projects, but we provide the project management support and all of the necessary permits that go into making these artworks a reality. So we've talked a few times throughout this presentation already on temporary art, and we wanted to quickly define what that means for us for our program. So this includes anything that can be on display on our property for a maximum period of 11 months. We see a lot of installations go in place from 3 to 6 months, and we really see this as an opportunity for local organizations to reinvigorate their spaces year after year with new and exciting artwork proposals that the community can look forward to each year. So some sites may have reduced display periods due to existing events that are in the area with different local maintenance partners. So in the application, we do ask for what the proposed display period is, including installation and removal dates, but we'll all work together with various stakeholders in the area to determine a display period that works best, but it cannot exceed 11 months. So As mentioned, this is a partner-sponsored application process, and through that, there's various responsibilities that the partner organization has to take on. So I'm going to spend a bulk of this presentation on this slide, walking through each individual step and commitment that the partner organization is taking on when trying to present artwork on our property. So it is a joint application, meaning that there is a partner organization and a professional artist, both included on the initial application. And the partner organization and artist together are responsible for funding the project. And so a lot of times we get asked, where do I find funding? Is DOT funding this? How do we get this a reality? So the Art Partners Initiative specifically is not funded by DOT, but we do provide the project management and permits as previously mentioned. Partner organizations are responsible for funding these projects, and they can include a variety of different funding streams, whether that's through private philanthropy or through their discretional budget, or a lot of times we see partners getting grants from different agencies, either state or city level, to permit public art on the property. So definitely keep an eye out for different grants and services that are looking to sponsor public art, and you can apply to those, and then you'll need to apply to our program. And sometimes we're able to post these channels on to our social media or newsletter online. So keep an eye out for different ways that you can get funding, and then you can apply to us. And then next, once you figure out the funding for it, which is always a big hurdle, you will have to identify the specific site that you would like to present the artwork on. So through this initiative, we are specifically only installing artwork on the city's Department of Transportation property. So there's the state DOT, there's different city agencies, and there's parks and lots of different property that's out there. And I know it can get really confusing trying to figure out whose discretion is where. If you ever have a question on what a site is, feel free to email us at arts@dot.nyc.gov. But we also have a few different resources, which I'll talk more about later on how to identify an exact site. But we do have a site selection guide that has, all the various site types that we can present artwork on, which has to be specifically pedestrianized. And we don't unfortunately have an exhaustive list of every exact opportunity that's out there because our reach is far spread across the city, across all 5 boroughs. So the best way we can do that is to generalize it into different site types. So then moving on to artist selection, a question we get asked very often is, how do I find an artist? I'm an organization, I'm interested in activating my space, but I don't know any artists in the area. And we usually recommend partner organizations to look out to your networks, to utilize the resources that are in your own neighborhood, in your backyard. There are artists everywhere across the city, and we really value finding artists that have some type of connection or some type of experience in your neighborhood, and utilizing the resources and other organizations that may be in your district to help identify an artist. We also have seen different organizations put together open calls and requests for proposals when they have a very specific project and medium in mind. Then they'll put out an open call to find artists that can match that and have their own review and jurying process to select a final artist. And we've often helped organizations put together these RFPs or have reviewed them to make sure that they're accurate and that they'll get the best artists out there. And another way that we encourage partner organizations to help find artists is by looking at the materials that we've already posted online, either through our Flickr or our Instagram page, because we have all of the project information for every past project online available. And we really want you all to use that as a tool to figure out, hey, I like this artist that did this work, 10 years ago. Let's bring them back and see if they're available. Feel free to use that as a depository to figure out how you can partner with an artist on a project that you have in mind. Similarly, I'm sure there's plenty of artists on this call as well that are interested in partnering with these organizations. And we always get the question, I'm an artist and I don't know how to find an organization. And how we like to answer that and help artists figure out partner organizations is to figure out where you want to install artwork. If you have a specific project in mind, try and figure out where it might take place best. whether it's, the specific site or a neighborhood that is in communication with your project idea, you can then research local organizations in that area, whether it's a business improvement district or a BID, as we often refer to it as, or different community-based arts organizations, museums in the area. You can go try and contact them and tell them about your proposal and see if it's a possibility to install artwork on DOT's property in that area. And again, to artists, we really encourage you all to reference our Flickr and Instagram page as well to figure out organizations that we've worked with in the past and see if you can partner with them in the future. And I also see people are saying that they're an artist in the chat, so I welcome that too. It's always nonstop networking with us, trying to match make different partner organizations and artists. So then moving on, once you have the funding, a site confirmed as DOT property and it's eligible for artwork, and then artist is ready and willing, able to apply to the program, then you can submit an application. So we accept applications on a rolling basis, but we do require them to be submitted at least 90 days in advance of the proposed installation date. This will provide ample amount of time to go through the whole project initiation process and make sure all documents are finalized before you begin installing, because there's lots of different steps that we need to take before we're ready to be publicly available. And there are different stipulations based on the medium type. So for mural artwork, we really do recommend applying sometime in the winter so it's ready to get installed in the spring and summertime, because the paint needs to be installed during warmer months for the best wear and application process. And then for electrified artwork, I'll get into these medium specific descriptions later on, but electrified artwork does require a bit more review time. So even more than 90 days for review is really helpful on everyone's end. So once you submit an application to our email at arts@dot.nyc.gov, we'll review the application, and pending it's complete and responds to everything that is questioned in the application, we'll submit it to our advisory committee. And from there, we initiate the project management process, and you'll be assigned a project manager. So either myself or Megan, who's on the call, will be your point person all throughout the project implementation process. So we'll be the one person that you have at DOT that will then circulate any questions you have about the whole project process with other internal units or with our art advisory committee. And then once we're getting the ball rolling, we're project managing, we will require all partner organizations to sign an agreement with the city and provide a certificate of insurance naming the city as additionally insured. So we'll also provide the necessary permits for installation and removal. And this agreement also outlines the maintenance requirements that the partner organization must assume to formalize the partnership. So we have template agreements that we will provide upon project initiation, and the partner organization can review the exact stipulations before we get the ball rolling too far down the line. But all of our insurance requirements are also listed in the application itself. And then lastly, for community engagement, we'll want the public to know about the artwork that's coming to your area. So we'll work together all throughout the project implementation process to determine a specific communications plan and social content that can correspond with the artwork installation. And we'll also work together on any unveiling or programming events. As mentioned before, we have our own Instagram account and Flickr account, and we love to share our projects once they're displayed. So, a huge question we get all the time is, what is DOT property? Where can I permit and display my artwork? And as I said, we don't have an exhaustive list that shows exactly every location with coordinates on where we can install artwork, but we do have a very helpful site selection guide, which I'll show in more depth later on. And it breaks up all of the potential sites that we can have. So as pictured here, we have fences, we have plazas, we have sidewalks. There's numerous types of sites out in the city. We are permitting artwork across all 5 boroughs. So it would be impossible to try and identify exactly where something can go. But when you look at the site selection guide, our Flickr, our Instagram, it really gives you a taste and familiarity of where temporary artwork is being installed with partner organizations. So the property does have to fall under the city's Department of Transportation jurisdiction. We get a lot of questions that it's, MTA's property or the state DOT's property or even park sometimes. And those entities all may have their own permanent or temporary art permitting process, but ours always has to be under the city DOT, which sometimes on our team, we're not even sure what the property is, but we have plenty of experts here at DOT to help us identify what is the city's property to install public art on. So if you have a specific site in mind, we recommend first cross-referencing with our site selection guide and then seeing if we've installed artwork at that site before by searching on our Flickr or Instagram page. And then if you still have any questions or you're still unsure, we really recommend you email us at arts@dot.nyc.gov to review the proposed site before you submit an application. We really don't want you to have to go through all of the work of applying to the program and only to find out that the site isn't eligible. So then getting a little bit more into the exact artwork that we're looking for or that is best suited for our property. Each site type can receive a specific artwork installation, and throughout the site selection guide that's available online, it lists which art types can be eligible for which properties. But I'm going to review some of our most popular art mediums that are installed on our property. So first being murals. Murals are all over the city and ever growing as part of our program. And specifically, we do a lot of murals on pedestrianized asphalt as well as concrete jersey barriers. We also do a few vertical murals on bridge walls or fence types as well. And so these all have to be, on pedestrianized spaces. So we're not painting on the active roadway. We're not painting on the sidewalk. It has to be asphalt. And then for concrete jersey barriers, we recommend having it be a pretty good chunk of a jersey barrier for the paint. And then for vertical spaces, it's a real case by case basis on what can receive a mural. So most of our murals are really bright and bold, colorful, abstract designs and have a limited color palette for the artist's ease. We recommend a color palette of about 3 to 6 colors, and that's really to make sure it is a successful installation. And the organization and artists have a real good handle and control on the artwork installation process. And then for paint types, we typically use exterior grade water-based acrylic primer and paint, and all paint types will have to be reviewed and approved by us before you all go out there. So feel free to include in the application what paint types you are planning to use, and then we'll go through and review with internal units to make sure that those can actually be eligible for installation. And if not, we'll work together to identify an exact paint type. We have plenty of examples from past experience. Moving on to sculptural and three-dimensional works. These have to be made out of really durable materials that withstand the weather. A lot of sculptural installations are typically on display for about 3 to 6 months, but we've definitely seen installations also on display for the full 11-month display period. And we'll work all together based on the proposed sculpture what will be best for a display period. Something that's really critical for sculptural and three-dimensional works is that it does need a signed and sealed technical memo prepared by a licensed engineer, and that needs to be identified before you apply to the program, but we don't need the memo itself before you apply. So it's a little bit tricky in the application. We ask you all to just name the engineer, but you do not need the exact memo before you apply because the memo is an additional cost, and we wouldn't want you to get that memo and take that cost without having approval from us first. So if you have any questions about that, again, you can email us before you apply to make sure you're understanding that it's just the engineer name and not the exact memo. Once we start that project initiation, once you're assigned the project manager, then we'll talk about the timing for getting that technical memo prepared for our review. And then, since we're only permitting projects on pedestrianized spaces, we also require that the artwork maintains a clear pedestrian path around it, and that, folks can still access different points around the artwork, and it's not a hindrance to the pedestrian flow. And then electrified artwork, which we're seeing an increase of for interest throughout the past couple years. Similar to sculptural and three-dimensional work, it also must be made of durable materials that can withstand inclement weather. And we also will require engineering and electrical documents to get reviewed and approved by our teams to make sure it's safe and suitable for the public. So for electrified artwork, there's a few different ways in which you can access power, but we really strongly recommend you using solar power or identifying a private power source. We cannot guarantee any type of DOT power as part of the proposal, and it shouldn't be assumed that DOT power can be used. Something else to consider when developing an electrified proposal is to make sure it's enjoyable and viewable all throughout the daytime as well as the nighttime. The electrified artwork is, rarely exciting at night because it illuminates a space, but we also want to make sure that throughout the day it's something that can be enjoyed by the public as well. And as I mentioned before, we really do recommend applying to the program well before 90 days if you are interested in an electrified artwork. And again, feel free to email us. I'm going to keep saying it. Feel free to email us at any time. If you have an interest in electrified artwork, just let us know and we're happy to walk through the proposal, as it does require a little bit more involvement than some of the other proposals, just because there's the added element of live electricity, because we do not want anyone getting electrocuted on our property.
Or any property.
That's true. Yes. No electrocutions ever. Moving on to the application review. So, as I mentioned, all complete applications are reviewed by our art advisory committee, and it's a panel of appointed arts professionals from varying disciplines. So, all completed applications are reviewed for the different areas as seen on the screen, which includes public safety, artistic merit, site suitability, organizational capacity, and artwork durability. And just to note that proposals cannot include commercial advertising, branding, or marketing. So keep that in mind when developing the design. We want something that is artistic in nature. And the committee will review, and once we get the preliminary approval from then we can work together on the project initiation. So then, now that you have all the material, I bet you're all ready to apply today to our program. So just walking through the exact technicalities of the application process, we receive applications for the Art Partners Initiative through our email at arts@dot.nyc.gov, and we would like to have those at least 90 days in advance of the proposed installation date. And there's various submission materials in addition to the application form that need to be included to complete the application. So that includes project renderings, photographs of past artwork from the artist's CV, and then organization and funding commitment letters. And all of that will make a complete application, but if there's any questions, feel free again to email us in advance. So I'm going to quickly share my screen so it can show the art website. One second as I work on this. Okay, so nyc.gov/dotart. This will be your golden place to find all of the resources and everything that I've mentioned today. So at the top here in the blue box, we have all of our current opportunities, and at the top is the Art Partners PDF. So I'm just going to click into that. And here you go. It's the PDF for download, and it has all of the information I just talked about, as well as, if I just keep scrolling, the actual application form. So this is what you're going to be filling out to apply to the program. So just showing it for familiarity and then going back. And along with it, you can see here we have our site selection guide. So this is the exhaustive information that you're looking for when trying to figure out, hey, is this DOT property? So it has it listed out in terms of different site types, and then each site type has what you can expect at the site to help you identify it, as well as different requirements, recommendations, and then what potential installations can happen at the site. And it also includes examples for each site type as well. And then going back, you can see all of the different resources, including our Flickr is listed here. You can sign up for our e-newsletter, which we highly recommend, so you can see the new exciting installations that you're all bringing to us. We announce them through our e-newsletter and post them on our Flickr. And then along with our Instagram here, you can see the various different past partners projects as well. So now I'm going to move on to the questions. We got a few questions through the registration process, which thank you so much. Um, and I'm going to run through a few of them now. So a question we often get is, how can my application be successful? What type of projects are you looking for? So we're looking for anything that's temporary in nature, such as murals or sculptures or interventions. We recommend, again, that you look at our site selection guide, which provides different specific examples and design considerations for the type of artwork. So if you see a site that has a specific type of sculpture or a specific type of mural that's often displayed at it. It's recommended we want you all to be creative and make it different for years to come, but trying to understand what is best presented at different sites will be really helpful when applying. And as mentioned before, a successful application also considers the selection criteria, which includes public safety. Public safety is so important as all of these works are on pedestrianized spaces, and we want, folks walking around to be able to uh, interact with them in a way that is helpful and safe for them still. We also look for artistic merit, site suitability, organizational capacity, and artwork durability. And we're not prioritizing specific neighborhoods or anything like that. We install artwork across all 5 boroughs. So if you, no matter where you are in the 5 boroughs, we would like to help you permit temporary artwork there. All right, moving along to more questions. Um, how can artists find partner organizations? So, as I mentioned before, partner organizations and artists are working together to figure out collaborations before the application process. And we have resources, as mentioned online, like our Flickr and our Instagram, to showcase the various partners and artists that we've worked with before. Some examples of partner organizations include business improvement districts, nonprofits, galleries, artist in residence programs, arts councils, museums, cultural institutions. And those are the organizations that you should be looking for in the area to be a strong partner organization to apply to the program. And then similarly for partner organizations, again, we recommend you looking at your own neighborhoods and in your own districts to figure out artists or art coalitions that can work with you to install artwork. And we've seen many organizations put out their own public open calls to try and solicit artwork for a specific site and project in mind. Who is eligible to apply. So this is a joint application process. So partner organizations must partner with an artist to apply to the program. And we've had different projects where there's one lead artist, but then they're working with a school to put together a mural design, or they have volunteers come in, and those include, students or local community members to help paint throughout painting days. So a professional artist needs to be a lead on the application itself, but there's definitely ways to get creative with youth involvement or different community involvement to develop a design that is representative of the community itself. And we're happy to talk through that idea if that's of interest. And then international artists are completely welcome to apply with partner organizations as long as they are um, able to, work with that partner organization identified. But we have worked with the city has worked with international artists in the past, and we've even worked with international organizations too. So we just welcome those ideas to come through our inbox, and we're happy to review all together. Moving right along in my questions that I've identified. Um, I'm having trouble determining the owner of a location. What do I do? So, as I mentioned, various entities and agencies have jurisdiction over different types of property. And we recommend that you look at the site selection guide and review what our different site types are. And if you have a question, you can reach out to us via our inbox to help determine the exact site ownership. So I think I have answered most of the questions so far, but I wanted to quickly just put on the screen different ways that you can stay connected with us. As I mentioned before, our website is the best place to find everything that I've talked about today, as well as the links here of including our Instagram and Flickr. That is your one-stop shop for everything DOT art, including the Partners Initiative. But please follow us on Instagram at NYC_DOT art. We're always posting when our new open calls are open and different projects that are recently getting installed. We can even post about different grant opportunities that we're finding online, or, there's a lot of synergy between different city agencies. So it's a wealth of information if you're interested in permitting public art. You can email us at arts@dot.nyc.gov, and that will give you information with any of your questions that are more specific or unique, or you can sign up for our e-newsletter where we announce all of our recent installations, our open calls, different initiatives, webinars like this to reach out to. So that is the end of our webinar. Thank you all so much for coming. If you have any questions, I don't know if I emphasized it enough, but you can email us if you have any questions. And please follow us on all of the different channels that we identified. So I don't know if Angelique, you want to say anything
Yeah, I
else?
just want to say thank you to Leah for guiding us through this wonderful presentation. And then I'm just gonna underscore that this presentation will be available for you all at a later date. So you can go to our website and it will live there. And so you'll be able to see all of it there. And then, as Leah stated, please email us if you have any questions, any at all. We're happy to answer. And that's all. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.